Welcome to Group Dates and Hot Takes, a Bachelor Nation podcast. I'm Sampy.
And I'm Christy. And we're recapping Michelle's season of The Bachelorette.
Welcome back to episode 3 of Michelle's season. How's
Hello,
it going?
everyone. It's going well. What about you?
Oh, I am super stoked to get into things, but I feel like you may have some gossip, rumors, I don't know what to call it, I from the outside world, perhaps something regarding Will?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, actually. He had just posted some weird tweets about, like, masculinity and feminism and, you know, all the things that will get the certain crowd very angry nowadays. So, that's fun.
Oh, but he seemed so nice.
I know, just arguing about pizza all the time.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nothing else except for Jamie is just doubling down on his villainy on social media.
Oh.
So he's not sorry in the least bit.
Of course. Well, I guess then let's get into it.
Yeah, we start with Michelle still reeling from, Jamie.
Being so stupid. That was like, Jamie, in my opinion, is like the evil version of Carl.
Yeah, he's the quintessential Bachelor villain.
Like Carl was ridiculous, but this is like Carl, but also like evil.
Yeah, it's more sinister.
Yeah. Anyways,
we'll get to him some more.
Yeah, so we get to have a group date. How exciting!
Yes, it is a Top Gun themed.
Yes, Top Gun themed, which of course, and I'm sure nobody cares about this, but they were going with the Top Gun sequel date versus the original with Tom Cruise, which is a little strange to me, seeing as like it's not like Top Gun Maverick came out super recently. I don't think, like, it's, unless it ended up getting pushed back even further than I thought. I feel like it's been a bit.
Oh, I didn't realize it had already come out.
Yeah, I'm pretty stinking sure.
Oh, I don't know. For some reason, I got the impression it was like an upcoming movie, but I did not look it up or anything.
No, it's not. But it is, however, it's just a sequel to it's like a quintessential classic, like 2000s or 90s era Tom Cruise movie full of, masculinity and adrenaline, and just that's why they had all of the guys walking down the run. I mean, it wasn't quite the same shot, but that's why you had them all like walking in a line with the flight suits and the aviator sunglasses, because that's like a very famous shot from.
Yeah, it did look familiar
from the movie. There is just them like, ooh, look at these super attractive, fighter pilots just walking down the runway. They're so cool. That was the gist from the movie.
I'm guessing Michelle jumping out of the plane is also like a thing.
Yeah, though it wasn't like that wasn't the kind of plane.
They did the best they could do.
That looked like a slightly older era aircraft versus, I mean, and I apologize, but the original Top Gun, at least, I haven't seen the second one, but the original is like a Cold War era type thing. So it's like actual jet-powered fighter
Oh, okay.
aircraft, which I know. I apologize. I'm interested in military history and stuff. I will get back to the romance here.
Well, we got 2 actors from this Top Gun Maverick movie. And they give out call signs, I guess, to each guy, just based on like their name or what their occupation is. So the most important one was Peter's, which was Doughboy.
Yeah.
And I don't think Peter liked that very much.
Well, I mean, particularly since Doughboy is often a bit of I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to call it a slur, but it's sort of a mean nickname potentially.
Yeah, it's not particularly nice.
No, it's not. Yeah, Peter just annoys me.
Yeah, he's like unhinged a little bit. It's so easy, so easy to set him off, like the slightest little thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we get so. I guess first of all, was there really any point to Martin pulling Michelle aside and be like, "Oh, are you actually okay?"
No, a producer for sure told him to do that.
There's so much evil in the show.
Yeah, that there was. I mean, she referenced it later, like, "Oh, it was so nice of you to like check up on me," but it doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me.
Yeah. So I know that you would be the first in line here to jump aboard this G-force simulator that pilots have to use.
Pretty much my worst nightmare.
It looks so fun.
I could not. You not only are you like spinning in a circle, but you're also spinning like
it's three-dimensional.
Upside.
It's three-dimensional spinning because it's supposed to replicate the forces of gravity and like the multiplied G forces. You know, when you're at a fighter jet, I guess it's like a training tool.
The human body isn't meant to endure
Christy,
G-force.
It's fine, and we do.
It doesn't feel right.
Tell that to fighter pilots, Christy.
Even like when you're in an airplane and you're taking off, that feeling where like it feels like your body's being like pressed into the plane. It's such an unnatural feeling.
I love it.
Well, I had like my finger on the mute button this whole time because I was sure somebody was going to throw up.
Yes, Christy does not like vomit.
No.
I was like, and you did mute it at one point. I was like, hey, I'm trying to hear what they're saying.
Yeah, because I think it was Will who looked physically ill before he even got in the machine.
Yeah, but once he got in there, he was fine. Look, come on.
But like they also had to like declare their love for Michelle as they're like spinning around.
Well, yeah, you can't just put them in the G-force simulator. You gotta have them declare their love as they do that, thereby increasing the chances that they barf.
Yes, of course. So like Peter, I think spoke in Spanish.
No, come on, Christy. Peter's Italian. He's a pizzapreneur.
I knew it was some foreign language. I didn't remember which one. Well, Will also spoke in another language.
He was speaking in Spanish.
And basically copied the sentiment that Peter had. And, you know, this is just one more thing to set Peter off.
Yes, Peter was not happy. He's like, he took my effing thing. Oh, so angry. Which then, of course, leads to even more confrontation because, and I honestly, I didn't get this next part because they're like trying to keep the fighter pilot motif going, and they're like, part of what we have to train for is dogfights, which is aircraft versus aircraft. But instead of doing anything actually flight related, they basically just had them do that sort of, I don't really know what it's called, but it's basically where you have the giant foam Q-tips, I call them, and you're like up on a foam log and you have to knock each other off. But they decide they do that one-on-one because that's definitely very flight school.
Yeah, I feel like every season there's some sort of 1v1 men competition where somebody has to like fight. And so they just kind of shoehorned it in here. But at least this time it was like foam and it's like less injury prone, perhaps.
I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, they like to get that testosterone flowing. And of course, dun dun dun, in a matchup nobody could have seen coming, Peter versus Will. And then Will proceeds to trash Peter.
Yeah, I was surprised how quickly he lost that. It was like one hit after another.
Well, yeah, because that's the other thing too, right? Like Peter's pride wouldn't let him give up, and so he kept getting back on the thing, and then kept getting repeatedly owned. I probably should not find that quite as funny, but I kind of consider Peter to be a person of sort of the personality type of being a bit of a bully himself, and so it's kind of satisfying to be like, wow, you've just been incredibly obnoxious this entire time. Yes, fall on your butt. Ha ha.
Yeah, and I guess somehow, probably just to antagonize Peter even more, Will is declared like the overall winner of everybody, even though he only competed against Peter.
No, I think they were talking, when they were talking about overall winner, I think they were talking about like just the group date in general, like including like the declarations of love from the G-Force simulator and stuff.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
But Will receives a jacket.
Peter is not happy about that.
No, he was like, oh, that jacket represents respect and blah, 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 and Will doesn't have my respect and all this stuff. Peter takes everything personally.
Yes, just a little bit.
Yes, especially since then Michelle like drives off with Will in a vintage car.
Yeah, another movie thing. Yeah, I have to say, and I will have more words about this later, but there are certain types of people on The Bachelor I just see and I have zero time for, because it's just so absolutely ridiculous. And Peter is one of those people, like just so incredibly like petty and vindictive and like cocksure and all of that different stuff. Not a fan.
Yeah, so we go to the nighttime portion where we see more of that behavior from Peter. Like, really the most important part. There was like a montage of like Michelle chatting with like Clayton, Nate, and Joe, and she's like, I feel lucky to have such mature men. And it's just, the next scene is just Peter and Will arguing again. And like, these insults I found very funny. I didn't even write down who said what, but you can probably guess depending on what it is. But you hate my mouth because you wish you had it.
Yeah, that's Peter.
Your pizza business is not even open. It's not changing anybody's life. You're intimidated by me. You're not the big dog. That's a sympathy jacket. I mean, just on and on and on.
Yeah, probably the funniest thing to me, out of that entire thing was, well, I just laughed so hard at the whole "you hate my mouth because you wish you had it." Like that makes absolutely zero sense in any sort of context.
I know.
Second of all, so like it's this big, I don't know if you consider like a double wing couch. Like it's like this big U shape. Like it's a very large couch. And so Will is sitting on one of the far wings and Peter's sitting on one of the other far wings, and they're like having this back and forth thing. And then Nate is sitting in the middle, like halfway between both of them, like with like a glass of wine or something, just like looking like, why is this happening? Why do I have to be part of this?
Yeah, he was dying inside.
Oh, that was very funny.
So we quickly cut back to the house, or the rest of the guys, where we see Rodney is going to get the one-on-one. And for some reason, Malik finds the need to speculate and say, oh, Rodney's going to stay in the friend zone. Michelle isn't really going to see him in that way. I'm not sure, like, why he thought that, but...
Yeah, and also, so... I'm trying to remember... Is this also... I feel like this is also around the same time that Jamie then goes off and starts mouthing off to a producer. Is that true?
That was later. Because...
was that about Brandon then?
Brandon is not... Is Brandon on this date?
No, I'm just saying... Later, what I'm talking about with Jamie, it was his mouthing off about Brandon versus Rodney.
It was about Brandon.
Okay, that's
yeah.
Okay, all right. Anyways, continue. Yes.
So basically, at this point, Peter, I guess, has had enough and takes Will's jacket while he's like gone and throws it in the pool. Just a super mature,
so mature,
level-headed decision.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely going to help the situation for sure.
And then, like, I guess Peter at this point is like gone. So Will comes back and is like, where's the jacket? The guys tell him. And then I really liked what Nate did here. He was like, yeah, just let it go. If you just chill, you'll be seen as the bigger man. Like, Nate knows not to feed into, like, just the vortex of bachelorness. Like,
yeah. Which, I mean, I do feel bad for him. He's not really able to take that advice. And I guess, like...
Well, he kind of did.
Well, no, okay, no. I mean, he did in that he didn't, like, blow it up. What I'm saying is, like, it seemed like it was a pretty big deal to him, like, just overall and, like, emotionally and stuff.
Oh, yeah, because he was, like, kind of crying about it. That was slightly confusing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit confusing to me as well, because it was like, well... Can't you just get it out of the pool and dry it off and like won't it be fine?
It seems like it.
Maybe it's more about just the like symbolism of it, perhaps. But
I suppose. I mean, they did show him fishing the jacket out of the pool.
Mm-hmm. It was very wet.
And for some reason, Martin gets the rose.
He got the rose because he took her off to the side and made sure she was okay. Christy, women love to be reassured.
Well,
wow.
I suppose. I don't know. That was one thing I did notice. Like, when he was kissing Michelle, he like takes off his glasses in the middle of it.
Yeah, he's like takes off glasses, throws them to the side. Don't want these to get in the way. This is gonna be too steamy for glasses.
Maybe that's what got him the rose.
Wow. Unbelievable.
So yeah, Will ends up not telling Michelle like about all the drama, which is probably a good thing. And then he gets like this private concert in front of a string quartet.
Mm-hmm. Where they can, again, just stand there and make out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what a classic.
I know.
At least the embarrassment of standing, of playing music just for these two people, or just standing there like making out like crazy, was spread amongst like 4 people because it was a string quartet instead of just
and they
solo artist.
And they can like focus on just reading their sheet music. They don't even have to look at them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just make sure you're in sync with the other members of the quartet. Yeah. Yeah.
So it is time for Rodney's one-on-one. And they are playing Truth or Dare, which really is just all the dares are first.
Yeah. Which continuing our just general theme with Rodney, Michelle gets blindfolded this time and has to determine food.
Yes.
And shocker, she is way better at it than Rodney is.
Mm-hmm. She got French fries correct and pizza. Again,
so much of this stuff is like, I don't know, maybe we should run an experiment to actually verify this. But it seems like for a lot of things, you should be able to guess what it is, even with a blindfold on. I feel like when he did it, he was way worse than like a person should be.
Yeah, I did see somebody online speculating that maybe they aired his answers out of order. So it would seem
would be cruel.
I know.
So cruel.
So maybe he did get some of the apples right, but they just spliced it wrong.
Oh no, that would be so cruel if they did that.
But either way, he still got the pizza and lasagna one wrong for sure. So.
Okay, I still feel justified for ripping him for that.
So one of the other dares was that one person has to streak through the lobby with no clothes on.
You're gonna skip the super romantic handcuff together.
Oh, it was kind of inconsequential. I mean, they found a key, but I don't remember what.
Well, it's just there are all these like giant like quote unquote like present like boxes basically, and so they were handcuffed together, and they had to open all the boxes and try to find the key so that they could unattach each other from themselves.
Oh.
And so they did. They had a grand old time, okay, Christy? Having a grand old time is not inconsequential. You just wanted to skip right to the nudity. Unbelievable.
Wow. How dare you?
Look, I'm not gonna pull my punches, all right? Even with my co-host.
Oh, well.
Well, do you want to talk about the nudity now?
Well, there wasn't much to talk about. I mean, he has to go streaking through the lobby while Michelle like yells through a megaphone or something.
Though technically, in my opinion, this was not a regulation streak, okay? He had a pillow, so he was not strictly nude. He was only mostly nude, in my opinion.
Yeah, still a slightly uncomfortable thing to do, because then also like Tayshia and Michelle are like watching from above. The rest of the guys come out of their rooms watching.
Say again, I like. And maybe I'm just a hateful old man, but I really do not like those asides. I hate them so much.
With Michelle and Caitlyn just like giggling on the side.
No, TK, not Michelle.
Oh, sorry. Yes, those two.
Yeah, like I just, I don't know how to. It just seems like, it's something that's just like, it's like shoehorned in, where like the producers are like, oh, what'd be super hilarious is as this is happening, we just splice in shots of TK being like, ooh, this is, look at, he's streaking around. Like, I don't like it.
So I understand what you're saying. Like I understand how it's like a little annoying, but for some reason I don't mind it as much as you. But I can see how it would grate on you, especially since it seems to happen like a lot during the season.
Yeah,
but...
and it just seems like there's no point to it.
No, there is none other than like, oh, like girls solidarity or like,
yeah,
I don't know,
I don't know. It's just a very specific.
Well, also the two of them are like very like bubbly and energetic.
Yeah.
Also, so it kind of
hate that. Now, and look, I may get myself into hot water for this, all right? But I just think that it's almost like ABC was like, hey, we want you to play these characters. Because it just seems like to me, and maybe I just haven't experienced enough of the world. Maybe I just don't know enough women. But, like, it seems like it's more of, like, this put on character versus who they are totally necessarily. And I mean, you probably can speak to this more, but it seems like such a stereotype to me.
Yeah, I think it's almost like the whole influencer vibe you're seeing on screen. Because if you watch like Tayshia's Insta stories or whatever, like she's very like goofy, bubbly, energetic like that also. But I feel like if she were just like sitting down having dinner with Zach or whatever, she wouldn't be acting like that. So I think it is just like the way you do this or the way you act on Insta stories or whatever.
Yeah, because like of course, like people have different personalities, and some people are bubbly and silly and stuff. It just seems to me, at least, like a put on thing. And maybe most of the women that I know just don't act like that, and so it's a weird thing for me to see. But it's like it just the two of them together. It just seems very weird because it seems just so over the top, like that they're we just need to be like super giggly about this because we're women and women are supposed to be giggly. Like I don't know.
I think I feel like nobody wants to have like low energy on TV or whatever, so that's probably part of it. It's like you got to like really amp it up.
I guess.
And also the other thing is that they don't seem very much like hosts to me. They seem more of like, I don't know, like encouragers, cheerleaders, like confidants. They don't have like the I don't know, like the way, like even the way Chris Harrison did things where he was sort of like aloof or above what was happening. It just came in to like announce stuff. They don't have that same vibe. So it's just completely different.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been strange to me.
Yeah, I mean, next season we'll have an actual host. So we'll see how that goes.
Hopefully I don't hate him too.
I don't know. He looks very much like Clayton, so that's kind of funny.
Unbelievable. I guess we weren't ready for a black host, were we?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Is that too far for ABC?
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I mean, it was too far to have a second Black Bachelor back to back.
Look, Christy.
Look at all the black guys in this cast, and they chose the most stereotypical looking normal bachelor, like they always do.
Oof. Look, Christy.
Anyway,
look. One step at a time, okay?
Hey, I'm not really complaining. Like, I know they're not going to do two of them back to back.
Look, okay, I think ABC just, there are only 12.5 roughly percent of the people in America are black. So it wouldn't make any sense to have
No, it wouldn't.
Two back to back. That would be
No, we don't want to oversaturate it.
No, definitely not. So poor Rodney.
Oh yeah, well, where were we?
Yes, but he got a pillow. Okay, so, but yeah, I guess it was literally just like in the lobby of the hotel, right?
Yeah, they seem. I don't know. This hotel seems very large, but it seems like we only see the lobby.
I don't know, but he gets to put his clothes back on.
Yeah.
And they get to go have the truth segment. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. He said his biggest fear is dying before becoming a husband and father. And Michelle's is fear of being complacent. So.
That was an interesting fear to have.
Yeah.
Like, just dying before being a husband and father.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Michelle's. I mean, I guess maybe it's more like a fear of premature death sort of thing.
I guess, yeah.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we get to see them have dinner.
Yep, they get in a boat and row to dinner, actually. And he shares about his family. He was raised by a single mom who worked 3 jobs. And Michelle shared some interesting stuff here because she talked about since her parents are interracial, that her mom, I guess, ended up protecting her dad a lot so he didn't have to say certain things, which was interesting. And then she talked about the time someone said the N-word to her at the store, which just that's horrible all on its own. But then when she got home, whoever she was dating at the time was just not understanding why she was so upset with it, and thought oh, you're giving the person power who told you that. You should just not react to it.
Which, I mean,
what a terrible response.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Look, that's true, but you also have to take into account the emotional state surrounding that as well.
Yeah, I feel by him saying that, he doesn't understand really what that word really means. Otherwise, that wouldn't be your whatever, it's not a huge deal type of thing.
Yeah, well, she never wants to have to justify her feelings again.
No, I did not think we'd ever hear someone mention the N-word on this Bachelor show. That was surprising to me.
Ugh. Just can't believe we're becoming so progressive here.
I know, 10 years ago, this would have been impossible.
Well, even ABC makes progress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't mind Rodney.
Yeah, I don't either. He's cool.
Wow.
I didn't see it before with him until this date, I guess, and I was like, okay, they don't seem to be a bad match.
Well, he strikes me as a pretty sincere person.
Mm-hmm.
Which is good, especially contrasted to somebody like Jamie.
Wow. Yeah, big difference there. So
Yeah.
he gets the rose.
Are you gonna mention
The absolutely except this rose. That one is a bit of a reach.
Look, she started it.
Yes. I don't remember what she said at first, but yes,
Something like fully. Yeah, yeah. He'll never live that down.
No. I still think of him as Granny Smith every time I think of him.
Oh yeah. So we get another group date here.
Yes, and this is clearly the like B group of guys.
Hey,
I feel like all her favorites were in the first group date.
Well, I don't know if I 100% agree with you.
Maybe Brandon was like the only.
Brandon, and then until the end. I don't know, because here's the thing, because I feel like, and maybe they haven't progressed as much, but I feel like she has a decent connection with Nate.
Yeah, but Nate was in the first. Wasn't Nate in the first one?
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah, you're right, he was. Okay. There are so many guys, I can hardly keep track of which dates they end up in. But yeah. So this is. This date is a poetry date.
I don't know if I've mentioned my dislike of poetry on here before.
This date, you can't just dislike poetry. Poetry is such a wide range of stuff.
I mean, I didn't like this kind, whatever this spoken word thing. The guys had to write their own poem, I guess.
It's like a whole thing, like the spoken word poetry. Like typically, at least the stuff I've seen, it tends to be pretty personal type stuff, like pretty personal stories. That's sort of like there's a very there tends to be a very strong like beat and rhythm to it, which is why like you heard. So the guy, I mean, I have no idea who this is. I guess Rudy Francisco or something, who was like doing a poem when they got in there. That's why like the style that he was doing it in, and then the guy who was like totally fangirling, he was like, "Oh my goodness, it's Rudy Francisco. He's in the room, and I'm in the room, and Michelle's in the room." Oh. So that guy as well, when he had his chance, like you could like 100% I could tell. I was like, yeah, I mean, he is definitely like a spoken word poetry nerd.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing, but everyone else pretty much, it's just
everyone else
cringy.
It's pretty much like everyone else is kind of like Dr. Seuss poetry. Which, like, again, is not a bad thing. It's just a very different style, you know, sort of like the one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. Like it's like a very different sort of cadence and strong like rhyming structure and stuff, which is of course very different than the spoken word poetry. But yeah, a lot of just personal stories, which is just so wonderful, so just heartwarming to hear, you know. And then we had Jamie.
Oh, of course. Yeah, he I guess instead of writing a poem, he just told this rambly story and everybody hated it.
I forget who said this, but somebody was like, "Oh, that was a rabbit hole, or like a rabbit down a road or something." Didn't even understand.
And then Michelle did hers, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, she probably had maybe a bit more time to prepare than they did, though I'm not positive about that, but I would guess that's probably the case. Yeah. It's just yeah.
You thinking about Jamie?
Yes.
Well, he's so full of himself and conceited, and so it's like the nighttime, and he's like so confident. But first we had Brandon talking with Michelle. I think Brandon is probably the one she likes the most out of this group. So he talked about his like high school experience a little bit. He was like really short until like junior year of high school. Didn't he say he had braces?
I think so.
And then I guess he also talked about, since he's mixed, being told he was not black because he's not as black as some of his other friends.
Fun.
I know, just all kinds of racial issues there,
And
unfortunately.
then he attacked her face.
Yes, this was very aggressive. Pretty much knocked her over. I love how these like serious issues always are then cut to making out almost immediately.
Look, I refuse to take back my Brandon Jason comparison, okay? I continue to think that there are strong similarities between the two of them.
I mean, he is very like happy and excited.
Yeah, so I guess we should talk about Jamie again. And look, I want to talk about even more than Jamie, all right? Because as we were mentioning earlier, after this whole Brandon situation, because Brandon gets the group date rose, and Jamie is very irritated by this, and even like I can't understand. He like pulls a producer aside and is like complaining about how he's like he shouldn't be in the same league as Brandon. Like, I mean, he's coming on the show. He thought it would be like this strong group of guys, and he's just like put with people like Brandon and like all this nonsense.
Yeah, he also doesn't want to wait the entire like time that the show takes, like 6 weeks. And then he like insults Michelle.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, she's in spring break mode. Like, I don't want to judge, but that doesn't mean I can't make fun of it."
I don't judge, but it doesn't mean I can't make fun of it.
Like, what did he think he was signing up for?
I don't know, but I also, the other thing I want to talk to about this is I just absolutely hate, all caps, screaming, just this sort of incredibly toxic mentality. And we've kind of seen it in this episode towards Brandon and Rodney, but like we've seen this periodically across the seasons, where it's just so, it's like you have these people who are like so incredibly like prideful and stuck up, and they have like just the absolute worst attitude towards these people, and just being like so incredibly rude. But like it goes way beyond that too. It's like seeing these people as like less than them, or like lesser people, because like for whatever odd reason, like, oh, like Brandon isn't like Brandon isn't the most attractive person there, or like Brandon like hasn't done enough with his life or something, or like the fact like all the stuff that was happening with Rodney and how like he was getting talked down about. It's like that is such a toxic view to like have about people, and it's also such a one-dimensional view of things. Because like, so for example with Rodney, like I'm gonna poke fun at the guy because like that Granny Smith apple was that was too funny to ignore. But like that is something that like everybody makes a mistake. That's very relatable. Like people, there are random things people don't know. But at the end of the day, and again, caveat that the producers are manipulating everything we see and know. But at the end of the day, at least on face value, he seems like a sincere person who can be silly and have fun and go with the flow, as well as be serious and have deep and interesting conversations. Like that's somebody who seems like a decent person. And to just be like, oh, like he's not like the most masculine, or he's X, Y, or Z that's like different than us, like top guys.
Did Jamie say that?
No, I'm just saying in general. So Jamie was talking more about Brandon, but I'm talking about earlier. I'm just talking more about the general environment that seems to happen of these guys who are like, they're so self-obsessed that they see somebody who is different at all from them. And they're like, oh, they're not as masculine as I am. Like that, again, I'm like sort of reading into the situation at some level. But even with what Jamie said about Brandon, like, I don't like being in the same league as Brandon. Like, he's not as good as I am. Like, it's just, I hate that. I hate that so much.
Yeah, they're entitled.
Yes, it's incredibly entitled.
I also think, like, producers may perhaps egg some of that on. Like, don't you think you're better than this guy? In their little ITMs and stuff. Like, they're always comparing. I guess since it's a competition, everyone is comparing themselves to the next person. And so you see somebody who's like, I don't know, maybe a little bit shorter. And you're like, well, I'm taller than him. I probably got a leg up. As stupid as that is, like.
Yeah, I just think that despite the manipulation, I just don't think that you can necessarily write that off as just like, oh, the producers are just egging things on. Because like from a lot of the things we've seen, it seems like these people are like that and would be like that maybe it wouldn't be quite a surface level, but it seems like these are actually the views that they hold about other people. And that's very irritating to me because it's like a very one-dimensional view, and it's like, well, maybe Michelle is going to like somebody who actually has a personality and cares about other people besides himself.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the guys who act that way are just like, you know, they look like the traditional Bachelor contestant, but then they open up their mouth and it's like, oh.
Yeah, there's probably insecurity there as well, and what all sorts of deep unresolved issues. But I just wanted to get on my soapbox for a little bit because that irritates me so much. Every time I see something, I'm like, just cut it out. Anyway.
Yeah, it's cocktail party time.
Dun, 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 dun.
So Michelle hangs out with Nate for a bit. They like run outside. Lots of making out. And then, well, everything kind of falls apart because, man, Rick was the little hero here because he's like talking with Michelle and he's like, I need to tell her that like it wasn't true that everyone is questioning her character. And then Michelle like tells Rick, oh, it was Jamie who told her. And now like the cat's out of the bag. Then like Rick goes and tells Nate and Casey what Jamie did, and then they call Jamie up the stairs to talk with them. And they like totally call him out. And it was so funny watching Jamie stutter and stammer and spitter and spatter about trying to explain what he said.
It
was so funny. He like had no response really. And then he's like, oh, I wasn't involved in all those conversations about how supposedly all the men were questioning her.
It was so funny because he's like maintaining that all of this stuff is happening, like going on, and how all these conversations are happening, and people have been, speculating about how Michelle was in a relationship with Joe beforehand and yada, yada, yada. And then they're like, well, who is saying? And he's like, well, actually, I was in my room all day.
I know. So how do you know this is happening then? And then he's like, oh, I don't have any specifics.
So.
This is just like the Carl thing.
But
and then he was
worse.
like, I know. Then he said, oh, it was an open-ended question that needed to be resolved. Which is like, no, it wasn't. And then he starts like breaking the fourth wall. And he's like, oh, the viewers at home watching the episodes are going to want to know like, what was happening. And then Nate is like, F the episodes, F the viewers. It was so funny.
Trying to justify his behavior unsuccessfully.
No, he did not succeed. And then he also says he didn't talk behind anyone's back.
Which is incorrect.
Not true.
Yeah, that's so funny. He just he's like, the issue is. It's like, no, that's not the issue. The issue is that you are a butthole.
And then Michelle comes after a while and asks if everyone is okay while everyone's like standing around. So then Jamie like pipes up and like tries to explain what he did, and then asked like, does that sound right? Does that sound like what I told you?
Yeah, like desperately hoping that she'll have like misremembered the like this is maybe not a good analogy, but like there are these comedians who part of their show will be like, oh, there's this song that I always thought the lyric was this, and then they'll like say the lyric that's wrong, and then they'll play the bit of the song for you, and because they've told you what you should expect to hear, then you're like, oh wow, it does say something about salami, when of course it doesn't. And if you just listen to the song on your own, it wouldn't sound like that. It's just like kind of a ambiguous type word. But that's like exactly what he was doing. He was like trying to like suggest this is what happened, to be like, right, this is what happened. Like she was going to like go along with that.
Yeah. And Michelle's like, do you realize what you did? This was such a teacher moment. And then like she pulls him outside. And I think Jamie is trying to insinuate like, oh, I brought up that rumor because like I wanted to get it out in the open so like you could get ahead of it. And she's like, that wasn't protecting me. Like, that was not good. And she says their trust is broken.
And she gets rid of him. Though before this, though, I was laughing so hard because like all this chaos is happening with all the guys and Jamie, and as this is happening, and it's like low key, like this is ridiculous, and then he's like, actually high key.
And then Nate had some really great looks, like just kind of in the background as when Michelle was there with the group addressing Jamie. Like all the guys' expressions were really funny.
You love to hear it. You love to see it.
Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention, Michelle had quite a stunner of a dress for this cocktail or rose ceremony.
But I thought you didn't like it.
I mean, it looked good on TV. It's not. I don't have any occasion to wear a dress that's thousands of dollars like that. But
you wouldn't just like.
If you're the Bachelorette, you might as well.
You wouldn't just like wear it as you were prepping sardines or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. That's what I thought. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, so yeah, that's the end of Jamie.
Dun dun dun. Hallelujah.
Yeah, he had his perfect villain arc and time to go.
Thank the Lord. Yeah. And we're working towards a decent number of guys, so I will soon be able to remember their names.
Yeah, we got rid of Peter. Malik.
Oh, so sad. I wanted Peter to go all the way.
Peter, Malik, Spencer, and one other guy. I didn't know his name.
I was ambivalent about everything, except that Peter went home. I was decently glad that happened.
Yeah.
Look, maybe I'm the only person in America who thinks this, but I don't need all this drama. I just want Michelle to find love, okay? That's all I want. I don't need to see all this drama.
I don't think you would like the show if there was no drama. If it was just love story.
Bold of you to assume that I like it now.
I know, but you would like it. You would like it even less.
I don't know, Christy. I don't know.
You would be so bored.
I see. Well, perhaps. But maybe it would be worth it, because then if there had been less drama, for example, on Katie's season, maybe she would still be dating the man of her dreams.
Maybe.
AKA Greg. Or Mike. Yeah. Well, that's pretty much it for the actual episode.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Michael, I forgot to mention at the top that, like, there's this rumor that, remember I mentioned there might be a second Bachelor show, like, after Clayton? There's a rumor it might be Michael.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's kind of... I feel like that was something that I was seeing stuff about a while ago, like the thought that more people were like, oh, he should be the Bachelor.
Yeah, the one in Clayton's slot. So, but for some reason they didn't pick him then, but they might now. I mean, who knows? It's still months away. But
I don't know what to tell you. And then the very last thing, missed opportunity here. Okay. Rodney gets to photocopy a body part, and he chooses face. Okay?
Did he choose that, or did Michelle?
I mean, I did. I know. But you're supposed to photocopy your butt.
I know. That's the first thing I thought of.
That's the classic thing. That's a classic photocopier prank, is you photocopy your butt.
I mean, he was already willing to strip down.
I know.
So...
What happened?
I mean, it is a little bit unsanitary.
It's nothing a Clorox wipe can't solve. I mean, come on, Christy.
Well,
and I was bold of you to assume that people who normally photocopy their butts care about being sanitary.
No, but somebody else has to use that machine after.
Yeah, well, it's just paper. Slightly butt-flavored paper. Yeah. Anyway. Just the great content you can expect from our show here. So we had 14 kisses this episode, which is a number. And yeah, that's the amount of kisses we had. Ta-da!
Is that less than last week?
Yes, by one, I believe.
Okay.
How can people get in touch with us, Christy?
You can email us at groupdatespod@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram at groupdatespodcast.
Yes, I know I say this all the time, but we love hearing from people. We love seeing your wonderful messages and hearing what you think, even though most of the time it's, you're wrong, Sampy. You're totally wrong about this, but I can handle it.
Yep.
You know, and we're out here trying to make the Bachelor Nation just a little bit better, one episode at a time. You know, spreading the message.
We're doing our best.
Doing our part. This has been Group Dates and Hot Takes, a Bachelor Nation podcast. I'm Sampy.
And I'm Christy. We'll talk to you next week.